Hi everyone, Sue Matsuki once again for NiteLife Exchange and a new Sue's Muse. Today I have two muses because they're working together in a project that I saw and I loved. Please welcome Natasha Castillo and Ted Stafford. Hi guys, thank you so much for coming, for joining
Hi.
us.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to get right to it because we do these very briefly. You have a show coming up on March 1st, which is your birthday, 7 o'clock at Don't Tell Mama. And it's a tribute to the Carpenters or specifically Karen Carpenter. Is it just the collaboration of both their works, or are you focused on Karen more so?
It would be about their music in general because it's
Okay.
the two of them. I see them as an entity.
Which
So,
is kind of nice that the two of you are working together as an entity. That's what I'm interested in. Now, Ted, I've known you forever and I know what a great player you are, and you've been a sideman for so many people, and now you're front and center as a musical director. First of all, where did the concept to pare you down to just vocal and guitar music, where did that come from? Was it something you brought to Lenny? Was it something you and Ted had discussed? How did that happen?
well, about over 10 years ago, I did another Carpenter show with Stephen Ray Watkins with all the bells and whistles. And that was a show that I've done, which basically told the story of the Carpenters. And I've always had a connection to Carpenter's music. And in that show, I discussed their story, but I've never really talked about my connection to them specifically.
Mhm.
And I felt that it would be remiss for me not to really go into that in more detail. But since it's a bit more personal, I decided that I wanted to do another Carpenter show, but I want it to be different. I don't want it to feel like that other show in a different with different music director only. I want it to be something that's completely different to accentuate that.
How did Ted come into the picture on scene?
Well, I spoke to Lenny about it, and Lenny said, well, if you want to do something like that and it's going to be personal and intimate, what about something that's very kind of quiet and fully acoustic? And I love that idea.
Mhm.
And at that point, Lenny's like, have you thought about Ted? And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
So Ted, when they came to you, when Natasha and Lenny came to you, what did you think about this? I mean, were Carpenters on your radar? I know you do a lot of different music and you have a very eclectic taste and you basically will play anything for anyone as a sideman, but here you are being presented with this project. What was your first thought?
Oh, well, I grew up with Carpenters for sure. That was a record that we had. I have one of my sort of favorite awkward memories is as a kindergarten person, like telling my babysitter that I was going to sing along with the Carpenters, and it was Superstar, and I was all set to go, and I was too embarrassed because the chorus is just saying "baby" all like over and over, and I wasn't ready for that with as a
That's
5-year-old with a 20-year-old woman. So I adore that music and it was a huge part of my growing up. So the challenge was interesting. And while Natasha was talking about the those early moments, I remember at the beginning when we were talking about it there were going to be more musicians involved potentially, and it was sort of as we worked through it, we decided that just guitar and percussion and vocals would be enough,
Mhm.
and that was pretty cool.
So now you're coming to discussing what the arrangement should be. Tell me about that process. Was it organic? Did you just start playing and Natasha started singing and you came up with these feels? Was there a lot of discussion? I'm curious about it because if you did not see the show, and I highly recommend you go see it on March 1st because it's not like your mama's Carpenter show. They've taken these songs and reimagined them in a way. And then, as Natasha said, she interdispersed personal stories about why particular songs meant something to her at a particular point in her life, which is a whole other layer of the show that I found particularly interesting, considering it's such famous music. So, Ted, you're faced now with the most iconic, very famous music. Tell me a little bit about how the process happened to find these amazing different arrangements.
Well, I'm glad you like them. I
Very
like them
much.
too. The We had like songbooks, and
Mhm.
we early on we we had some meetings and with Lenny and we kind of made some plans and that worked well enough. And that's what got us some of those more complicated arrangements. There are two of them, a couple of mashups in there. But then I thought we really hit our stride when we were just rehearsing together and kind of working it out and trying different feels for things. One of my favorites is what's the one that we turned into a 80s rock song?
Was
I
it?
Need to Be in Love.
Yeah.
Where that became like, some of my heroes, like, more like a Guns N' Roses tune or maybe a Whitesnake tune. And really kind of hitting it pretty hard.
Because
And
when you think of Carpenters, you think of Whitesnake for sure. No, I'm
for
just-
sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean about outside of the box. I mean, if that piqued your curiosity, wait till you see the show. And Natasha, you seemed like you were just willing to go along with the flow and trust. Tell me about, oh, I see Ted shaking his head a little bit. So you had to pull her in. Tell me about how you came to trust that this was going to work for you.
Well, initially, I had my list of songs. So this is how it happened. I had a whole list of songs. So we basically played and sung it through. And then I was like, oh, I want to do the song. I've always wanted to do the song. And I tried to pick songs that were not in the previous show I've done because I wanted to give people a different selection. And I tried to
And
pick
you also
songs.
pick lesser known songs too, which you
Exactly,
have to
because I
applaud
felt
you
like they're
for.
underrepresented.
Right.
There's so many beautiful songs that they've done but people are focused on the very popular songs like, We've Only Just Begun, like For All We Know, like yes, just those songs that everybody knew, obviously. But I picked those songs and then I brought them to Ted. I'm like, okay, I wanted, for example, the one that I Need to Be in Love was one of those songs that I really wanted to do. And I brought it to Ted and Ted is like, what about this vibe? And initially I have to say, I was like, no, it was not the way I knew it. So even for somebody who's taken a gazillion arrangement classes with Lenny, before he was even Signasium, I was a little bit, resistant to it because I feel that it's so, particularly because it's so iconic, some of those songs to me, and the way that it kind of associates with the way I feel internally, that I
What
was
was the breakthrough moment though? You were working on a song with Ted, you're noodling, you find something. What was the light bulb moment that you said, oh, this is going to work? Was it on a particular song? Was it just over a series of a couple tunes, finding them with Ted that you finally decided to just cede to the process and trust
I
as
think
Ted
with that
looks up
song
at
in
the sky?
particular, I think with that song in particular, it was a gradual easing in thing because Ted initially started like, okay, let's slow this down a bit, and then incrementally sped it up over time. And then finally I was like, oh, okay, I think I'll go with this. So it's kind of like that. So he kind of eased me into that, which kind of made it easy.
So Ted, did you know of Natasha or know Natasha before this collaboration?
Oh, certainly. We'd
Yeah.
worked together on quite a number of occasions through
Oh,
boot
cool.
camps, and through working at the Metropolitan Room. I met a lot of people, and Natasha's one of them. So we knew each other for a while. But in those boot camp experiences, those are pretty intense. And so
Very.
I wasn't worried about that part at all. But what I did discover in working together on this show is that, Natasha's got just a lot of skill. She's patient too.
Good
But
ears too.
what?
She's got good ears.
Yeah, really. So like that part was, I had a lot more freedom to be creative in the rehearsal setting as opposed to sort of on my own.
Mhm.
And so the fact that she knew these pieces so well already and had her own kind of plans coming into it, I wasn't teaching music at all.
Mhm.
It was more like we both had the space to be creative, and I think that was probably my favorite part about the whole thing. That's what, going back to your earlier question, what sold me on the collaboration was the fact that it felt like one, as soon as, from my perspective, as soon as I was really open to it, I was like, oh yeah, we can try stuff.
People forget that the relationship between musician and singer is a collaborative one. A lot of singers hire musicians and then ask for what they want, but it always astounds me, I'm with Gregory for 30 years. It always astounds me when people don't even listen to what's being contributed to then use in your soul to deliver the music out, because it is a circle of your talent through her talent and then back out to us to give it to us. So I applaud you for that. I feel a simpatico and I feel a collaborative energy when you two are on stage. It's really a beautiful thing to witness. And Natasha, I've always been a fan of your voice. You have this deep Carpenter-esque vocal quality in your voice that not many girls on campus have. I actually covet your lower register. I think it's a beautiful space. I have to say that without all the bells and whistles, which you have always been great in, I can hear your voice more. I can hear your talent more because I do understand that you have to listen to what Ted's contributing to create this moment that comes out to us as a unified piece of art. So congratulations on that. I really enjoyed watching the show on so many different levels of having known your talent for all these years. Now, Ted, I just want to ask you, you are an instructor now at Signasium, and the Lenny that we keep referring to, of course, is the wonderful Lenny Watts, who is Natasha's director and the head of Signasium. Tell me what it's like to now be contributing to the minds of upcoming newbies on campus in terms of cabaret singers and such.
But that's been really fun. I'm not currently teaching a class. It just hasn't worked out recently with schedules, and I mostly did boot camps, and I had a chance to do some music theory kind of stuff that I really enjoyed doing and would love to do again, sight singing and those other kind of basic musicianship skills. But my dirty secret is that, and I'm a school teacher. I teach third grade through eighth grade and band and chorus and general music, and my secret is that I do it because I just really want to be better at it. And so I need to keep hammering the basics myself. And it's kind of working. So I'm kind of thrilled about that.
So give me, we're winding down here. I want to get a little bit of advice from both of you. What was something that each of you had heard from a mentor or a friend or collaborator that you still use to this day that you would offer to someone thinking about singing and doing their solo show? I'll start with Natasha.
Well, it's something that Lenny told me a long time ago when I first worked with him. A couple things, like, first of all, obviously, when you do a cabaret show, you have to have a reason to do it. It shouldn't be like, I just want to sing these songs to do a show. You need to have something, a drive within you, a story that you want to tell to do a show. So that's like really important. And if you're going to have a story to tell, then you have to be invested in it. You have to be basically telling your story and not focusing so much on that musical perfection all the time, but more into like, I don't care what the outcome is. Like sometimes, I don't know. For me, it's like I'm always worried, like, oh my God, my voice doesn't sound, I don't like the way that my voice sounds in this song. It has to be perfect. Too much focus on that perfection is not a good thing. Sometimes that little crack in the voice may work in favor of
Yeah,
the
I'm
show
a big
because
fan
that
of that. I
emotion.
mean, yeah, someone once said, "Oh my God, I cracked on that note," and someone else in the audience, a reviewer, said, "But what a crack." It's like if it's human and organic and natural, and it's where you are telling your story, it's when you go outside of saying, "Oh my God," and my voice, blah, 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 that you realize you're no longer communicating forward to the audience. So that's great advice to just stay where you are and own what you're putting up there.
Yeah,
Ted,
and
how about
staying
you? I'm
connected
sorry.
with the moment and
Yeah.
also being at the moment because I have the tendency a lot to think about what's next. And so
Really?
as a result of that, it's just me with a little ADD thing going on. I have to constantly remind myself, and Ted and Lenny are very good at keeping me there. Like, hey, Natasha, you're flying ahead there. Stay at this moment. So that's a very important
Yeah,
recommendation.
each song is a little personal gem that you have to honor by being present in. So I applaud you for keeping that in your soul when you're singing. And Ted, what kind of advice have you gotten that you've used to this day, artistically or personally?
It's a hard question, but I am really lucky because I've worked with so many really wonderful people that inspire me. And I think I might single out Lena Katrakis and Michael Holland as giving me sort of two lessons that I go together. With Lena, I had to learn to really bring it. Uh, what I love about her is that she's a co-lead person. If you're gonna do something with her, you need to go all the way every time. There's no timidity allowed.
Right.
And so that takes a generosity, and then with Michael, uh it's no different, but he would always challenge me when we'd be doing stuff. He'd be like, "Why are you playing that so loud? You're not the star right now. You got to do it, but it's a background thing. You need to listen and put it in the right context." So, like the ability to shift between to always own it, but to know whether the spotlight's on you, whether it's on you and somebody else, or whether you're really in the background and you need to be that steady, like finding those places and committing. So
Awesome.
that's my best.
Great. Well, guys, thank you so much. This went by way too quickly, but I'm so excited that you're bringing the show back on your birthday, March 1st. Don't tell mom it's at 7 o'clock. I'll have all the information down below, direct ticket links. Please join us. I will so be there again. I saw this show once and I definitely want to come back to see it again.
And it's also to celebrate Karen Carpenter's 75th birthday the next day.
Is that her birthday was on March 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's
And
wonderful.
Ted's birthday.
Yeah, I'll be turning 27 on the 3rd.
Oh, 27, huh?
So it's a triple third birthday.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Natasha Castillo and Ted Stafford. What is the name of your show? I didn't even ask you.
Well, that's my music growing up with the Carpenters.
Beautiful. All right, we'll see you there March 1st, everyone. That's Sue Matsuki for NiteLife Exchange. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you both for being my guests today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.